called him and he had to call him back and stuff. But I mean, just kind of talked to him. I mean, I think my family has a pretty close relationship with all the coaches up here and stuff. So it's cool, kind of me and my dad were actually talking about it on the way up here, how it's kind of special. I don't think I've ever had a coaching staff, reach out to family members and stuff, and for them to do that is something really special. Kind of shows like just a week of reflection and stuff, and it's kind of what the bye week was. It was kind of a week about us, so it was really nice.
What did you learn in that week of reflection?
I mean, we just looked at different stuff that we're good at and stuff that we should probably try to get away from and stuff like that. I mean, not really any specifics, but kind of what works for us and stuff, and what we should lean to do more. I guess is kind of what we've learned. So.
And it's something you talked about way back in fall camp was kind of facing more like freaks, I guess, in the SEC than what you saw at Western Kentucky. And now that you've been through Texas A&M, been through Georgia, going to LSU this week, how has that matched up to what you maybe anticipated?
Oh, I mean, it's everything I thought it was going to be. I mean, like even you talk about those two games, we're about to go play another really good defensive line, and then we're going to have 4 or 5 more after that. So I mean, it's every week's kind of like the Super Bowl in regards of you're playing for playoff implications at every week. I mean, you see teams that lose one game and it's almost like their whole season's over. So just kind of knowing that and how important one week is, it's really nice. I mean, I like to have that focus and stuff, and every game means something, which is really huge. So.
Gunner, you just talked about it a little bit, but what have you seen out of the LSU D-line and the challenges they can present for y'all?
I mean, they're big, strong, and athletic. I think that's kind of the theme in the SEC is all these guys can, they can become game wreckers if you give them space and stuff. I think they're no different. I think Harold Perkins is a really good player. I've kind of seen him, be a guy who moves around a lot for them. I think that's something special for him as a player to be able to move around. It creates problems for teams. Some of their D linemen, number 0's probably my size, but a lot more athletic, so he's going to be a really good player. Number 18 is a really good player. I think their 2 defensive ends are really good players. I mean, they can hurt you in the run game and the pass game if you let them, and I think that's kind of a theme that we kind of focus on. They do some really good stuff. The stat book doesn't really show that in the last couple of weeks, but I still think they're a really good team, and they can take over a game. You don't win the SEC West last year for no reason, and a bunch of those guys are back, so I still think they have all the opportunity in the world.
You touched on that a bit, but LSU's defense, they on paper have so much talent, but then they're I think one of the top 10 worst total defenses in the country so far this season. What have you seen on film about kind of where they've struggled that you could possibly expose or attack this week?
I mean, I think there's a couple different things we're going to kind of look towards, but I mean, I still think they do a lot of good things well. For them, I think they've had some injuries. It's something that kind of hurts teams. I mean, it's the same thing with us. Like, injuries kind of, they can derail you at times and stuff. But, I mean, I think they do a really good job up front. I think they do a really good job in the back half. They're going to be a tough team. It's not just going to be, we walk in there and beat them by 60. That's just not how it's going to be. It's going to be a game that's a close game. It's, at the end of the day, they have a bunch of 4 and 5 stars just like we do. It's going to be a really good matchup. They do a lot of really good things well. I think the football gods have been on their side at times, but I think they still have a really good chance to, like I said, wreck a game if it comes to it. That's how they are. I know I think it was 3 games they haven't shown, but they can still, change the game if they need to. So,
on your own side of the trench, Auburn still kind of feels like searching for the offensive identity. I know Hugh Freeze has talked about that a bit. You guys have been running the ball, especially against Georgia, pretty well. Is that something that you as an offensive lineman kind of see as an identity, or how are you looking at what this offense is to this point?
I mean, the way I look at it as an offensive lineman, we take pride in trying to keep the quarterback up and give him the ability to throw it downfield, and we take it. When you call a run play, that we're going to try to go move people off the ball and get run yards. And right now, for us, we're called to kind of run the ball more than throwing it, and I think that's something that we all kind of hang our hat on and we take pride in it. I mean, offensive line in general is just it's more of a pride thing and a toughness thing than it is about, doing everything right. And I feel like that's kind of how we hang our hat on it is, we try to be whatever it's called, for us, that's what we got to go do. So that's kind of how we all look at it.
Gunner, from going week 1 into UMass, had the bye week now, 5 games in, what has the progression been like from you guys just as a unit?
I think we've played better together every week, if that makes sense. It takes time to develop relationships on the field and kind of understand what all 5 guys are doing. I think that's something that we've been able to grow each week is getting comfortable playing together and stuff. And I think that kind of, helps us moving forward and stuff. And that's something that we kind of lean on is, playing for the other 4 guys on the line at any given time. And I think we're just getting better each week, and that's kind of the focus. Is when you're on a trend, you want to keep going up each week, and that's what I think we kind of focus on as a group.
I know something that Coach Reese has talked about has been protections. He's put a lot of that on himself and the coaches. But from your perspective on the field, what have been some of those, I guess, things that you've been working on to get those protections set and have that all be a little smoother than it's been so far?
We've looked at different kind of sets. There's about 6 different sets you can take at offensive line. We've looked at different play action stuff, who to ID point and stuff, who we're looking at compared to who the quarterback is. And we've all kind of looked at it, especially this past week and it being a bye week, being able to look through all of it and stuff and kind of self-evaluate, what we're good at, what we're bad at, what we need to fix, stuff like that. And it's all working together in a unit. There's 11 of us on the field. The quarterback's got to know what we're doing. We got to know what he's thinking, where his hots are and stuff like that, and just kind of shoring up so everybody's on the same page is the biggest thing.
That's probably, to the same point if you were asking about just kind of, adjusting to all these different people. You've had injuries on the offensive line, quarterback change. I'm sure that's probably always the process. Even, midway through the season, you're probably, is it still that you're figuring out all those components all at the same time with the scheme?
Yeah, I think we kind of have a good understanding of the scheme. I think we're just trying to figure out how our team plays best, if that makes sense. Kind of making sure all 11 of us are on the same page at all the same time is a big thing. Even you look at Georgia, I think Free said there was about 10 plays that, make or break us beating the #1 team in the country. And if you can get that down to 2 or 3, you're going to have a chance to beat a lot of teams. So just kind of getting everybody on the same page is the biggest thing, and trying to make sure everybody knows what works best for us. And that's the thing about schemes is schemes are great, but you got to figure out what scheme fits all 11 players on the field and stuff. And I think we've done a really good job figuring it out, and I think we're going to get that identity and stuff figured out. And I think we're really close to it. It's just shoring everything up, I guess.
Forgive me if you've spoken on it already, but obviously Keldrick moving into a bigger role. What challenges does he bring as an athlete on the defensive line? Just as a guy that maybe you've had an opportunity to go up against.
Oh, he is. Keldrick is one of those guys where you can see certain guys and understand why they're 5 stars. Even for me, funny ones like Connor Lew was one. When I came here, I was like, no wonder I was a 2-star out of high school because I did not look like that when I was 18. It's kind of the same thing with Keldrick. You can see all the pieces he has, and for him to be an 18-year-old to be able to step up and play as much meaningful snaps as he has, it's been something really good for our entire team. I think he's a student of the game. I talked to him a good bit about just different stuff he can do against an offensive lineman and kind of showing him an offensive lineman's point of view on it, and so he can go out there and work on guys. I know he talks to some of our offensive line coaches and watches an opposing offensive line, so he can see what how to expose those guys. And he's a really good football player. To be a freshman, he is one of the few that I've seen that is really, really special, and he's a special talent. And I think he's going to be fine stepping up into the role. I think he was built for it, and I can't wait to watch him play.
And I know Coach said that you guys are working on a little bit of cadence stuff, obviously going into a place like Death Valley on Saturday night. Just kind of what does that look like, early this week already?
We've kind of mixed in some stuff of trying to figure out what works best, I guess, to kind of quiet the noise, if that makes sense. We watch every team that goes in there and plays. All of them have a silent count. There's different ones. Some of them have where they'll have a guard flash the hand. Some of them will have where the center looks down and the quarterback gives them a motion. There's all kinds of stuff you can do, and just trying to figure out, I guess, what works best for us so everybody's on the same page, because you got to have a silent count when you go into games like these. So just making sure everyone's on the same page of what we're trying to do.
You guys have to apply